All right, guys, let's continue on with this. And I know we're all kind of working on it together. Your comments are helping bring some ideas together on the table. I wanted to, first of all, I'm not trying to rationalize anything. I just wanted you guys to be all on the same page, so that you understand why I'm doing some things the way I'm doing it. Some people were like, hey, Mike, could you use a bigger puller? One of the reasons is the puller for this you couldn't get anything in behind that to pull on here, because see how wide this shaft is. There's just not enough room for a bigger puller, and it was just anything would just bend or break. Because what was happening is this is so pitted right here. I can't really see it right now, but it's so pitted on this very end that pulling it past all those pits, the only way to do that was to kind of move it around, and it was kind of wallowing the hole out a little bit so that it would be able to go past those things. Because this was so pitted along here that was what was hanging up on all those pits. So no puller was strong enough. If I got it even hotter, it wouldn't have helped. I was using heat. I had it really, really hot. That's why it was all black here. I was using a lot, and the only way to get it off was to move it back and forth. So unfortunately, that was what was required to do the job. So that was that issue. The thing is, some people suggested, not a bad idea, and I just wanted to say that these are things that I've considered. Is somebody said, hey, take the whole frame apart, take it down and have it sandblasted, and I'd have to have the whole thing all apart. The problem again with that is I don't have a place to put all the parts. I don't have a way to organize them all. I have too many things apart right now. Like I got the oval window apart. I've got the Gia parts in one place. I do have to stop and work on some other things, and I just don't have enough places to put all the parts. It would really take like a giant warehouse to do this. This frame is a lot bigger than it looks, and that's another issue. So the width of this frame does not fit on a car trailer, just so you know. It's wider than a car trailer. It won't fit. So, because a car trailer is like 8'6", the fenders are, and this thing's like 8 feet wide. And these outriggers, we tried to bring this home on a car trailer, and it wouldn't fit. It would not fit on a car trailer. I had to have a flatbed tow truck bring this truck to my house. AAA, of course, doesn't. you show up with something like this with AAA, and they just laugh at you. Okay, if it's commercial, they don't do it. They consider, even though this is a classic vehicle, it's considered commercial to them, and they wouldn't tow it either. So it had to come home on a flatbed. It cost a fortune to bring it from Orange County, which was not that far, less than 100 miles, to bring it here. So that was an issue. This thing doesn't fit on a car trailer. It would cost me a fortune to take this down and have it sandblasted. Plus, I'd have to have everything would have to be apart. All the hydraulics would have to be opened up and cleaned up and taken apart all at the same time. I'm worried about two things: contamination and losing parts. That's an issue. I don't want to lose anything. So that's kind of why I'm doing it in sections, putting it together. It seems, again, like the long way to do it, and it is, but it's really the only way that I can do it where I'm at. So anyway, I just thought I'd bring up those things, and I don't want to think that I'm ignoring your comments, because again, I'm looking at them to help put this together. So again, I've looked up, somebody suggested buying new tubing and having it rebent. I think that would be just too expensive, and if it was a little bit off, it would be a real problem, because these are really stiff. It would take, it takes a good tubing bender to bend these things, and a good person doing the bending to get them to fit. So, and that I'm not that good at it. So these are pitted. Somebody did also comment that they've done injector lines, which are even higher pressure than this, with brazing. So you know, if an injector line will hold with that, I think we're good. So I bought some brazing. We're going to do that later in the video. So I noticed there's some concerns about the cylinders being, the parts are probably available. You know, there's a place called Burnell Hydraulics. I've done hydraulic work on this and on this truck, and I've rebuilt cylinders on this one, and I've done hoses and cylinders on this. So I'm not going to say that I'm an expert, but I've got a little bit of background in this stuff. I'm pretty sure that I could get rebuild kits for those, or rebuild parts. They always go down. I always go down there and they say, oh yeah, I can probably fix it for about $50 a cylinder. Every time I get done, it's around 60 to 80 or 70 to 80 dollars a cylinder, and it's kind of expensive, you know. And you know, if you add up that with the cost of the hoses, I'm gonna have to have the hoses made for this, which are not going to be cheap, and I'm definitely going to have those done. But I'm either going to do that, or I'm going to buy the swedge tool, because I've obviously got a few other hydraulics that I've been working on, and I get tired of paying, you know, $150 a hose or whatever they charge me. I don't even know. Depends on where you go. Like if you go to Ruthmann, you get hosed at Ruthmann. They're the most expensive, I think, place you can go. Burnell makes them. A couple other shops around town do them as well, but I haven't found you know, a good deal on them yet. They do also have you can get an adapter here and then put a universal hose on. If you look here, this one right here is a it's not a one-time use hose. So if you look at this is actually can be, you put a wrench on here and you put a wrench on here and you loosen this up. I could put a new piece of hose on here and reuse these. These are reusable ones. Somebody's replaced that at some point, and those are expensive. Those are like $30 a piece for these reusable ones. But the rest of them are all swedge fitted, so they're going to be whatever they cost. I don't know when we get to that. So to do these, like I said, at the point once I get done with them and I get them all back on and I find out everything's working, it won't be that hard to actually take them off and rebuild them if I have to. It seems like kind of a redundant thing to do them twice, but you know, it's kind of like I don't want to rebuild everything on this. It could be very expensive to do, and if it was something I was going to use every day, I probably would consider doing that. But it's only going to be like a show piece mostly. So if they're not puking, I'm probably not going to do them. If they're leaking a little bit, if they're getting wet when they go down, I'm not going to worry about it. But if they're puking, then I'm going to have to do them. So what I could do is easily, since I'm going to fix all this, I'm going to put some anti-seize on here. I'm going to sand all this, and those will be able to come right off pretty easily, and they won't be rusted on like they were. So it won't be that hard to actually take them off and rebuild them. Like I said, I've done my other cylinders on my other trailers, my trailer boom and all that, and they were pretty easy to do once you get them apart. But like I said, parts are kind of, you know, $70 at, you know, piece, 7 times 4, 280 plus tax. Do I need to really spend that? I don't know. And what if I go and do all that and then I find out there's a catastrophic problem with something else? You know, then I've just, you know, it's smarter for me to do it after the fact, even though it seems like a lot more work. But again, I just wanted you guys to know I really appreciate your comments and the stuff you guys are saying, and the input you have is, you know, I'm definitely taking a lot of it into consideration, and I have learned a few things from your comments. So keep those things coming in. I really appreciate it. I just wanted you guys to know that, you know, I'm not ignoring them because I'm doing things a certain way. I have reasons why I'm doing it that way, and hopefully you guys will stay on board with me through it, and we will watch this thing come back to life, and hopefully we'll be successful with everything. Again, like I said, some of these things, like, you know, I could do all the cylinders and I could run into an issue here, and I don't know how's that going to handle, you know, how am I going to get through that? I don't know yet. I'd rather wait and get everything right, get everything working. You know, you may have to replace my pump in the unit, get all that stuff working and make sure it's all working. And then rebuilding cylinders is not that tough. It can be done, after the fact without any issues. And they'll work, even if the seals are bad. They'll work. They'll go down and they'll just puke, and it's no big thing. All you got to do is soap it down, power wash it off, all the grease and oils off of it, and we'll replace them, or rebuild them. No big thing. So anyway, we'll move on, start doing some work here. I'll talk to you guys a little bit later. Well, I got to tell you, it certainly isn't that easy to do, but it's been a while since I've done brazing, so I think I've got the hang of it now. I wanted to kind of get past the learning curve, spare you guys the details of me relearning. I think, if I remember right, you just get it red and you start working the rod in, and then it seems to be on there really good, and I've filled in the pits. It's just what happens is on a round surface like this, I don't think I've ever brazed anything round, it starts to, when you go to the other side, it starts to melt its way around and get big globs of it and stuff. So, but I think I've got it pretty good now. So that one's probably done. Well, that took a long time. Can't imagine I gotta do all these to do. Huh. Oh boy. Okay. store didn't have a long enough bolt to do the whole thing, so I just did half of it. I don't know if I got that on film or not. Just clean these up a little bit. Welded some bolts on where they were broken. They're all pitted, but I'm just gonna give them some rust treatment, like everything else. Epoxy prime, paint it. So what I'm doing in here is I'm just power washing it all off with my little electric power washer, and I'm getting rid of all the residue from the stripper. It's just a lot easier to get most of it, as much of it off of as I can with the stripper. It takes a long time just to do just a stripping wheel, and then the rest I get with the stripping wheel. It came off fairly quickly, not too long. You'll see other parts in the video ahead, and all this. There's a lot of process for. Seems like hardly anything I got done, but it was a lot actually. So there's a lot of things going on. So anyway, we'll let you guys check out some more. All right, this is a problem. So all these wires, there's tracers and no wire diagram. There's nothing. And so anyway, if anybody can find a wiring diagram for this thing, it's a Ruthmann SO or a Ruthmann V60. Maybe somebody can post that on the Facebook. I haven't looked yet, but I do have a contact at Ruthmann. They said they would help me with some stuff but I haven't utilized that yet. So anyway, those things are so bad. I don't even know if these switches are gonna work. I mean, and then I've got an issue with those. I mean, the worst scenario, I could always just put toggles on here, and then, you know, put a panel up here, put toggles on it, put a cover over it. That might be the way to go. I don't know, but that's a problem. Okay, so we're ready to go. I wanted to show you guys this because some of you guys are probably going, oh, that's not going to stick and all this stuff. And I'm not sanding anything, so I'm going over, I'm using the stripping wheel. And then if you guys saw that part, you saw I put rust converter on everything. I use this stuff here. This stuff is really good stuff. So that's why all the rust is black. And then you wonder, okay, is that going to stick to the metal? Well, check this out. Here's my sharp pocket knife. What do you think? No sanding. There you go. That's on there so tight. I just used the stripping wheel to put the epoxy primer right over this stuff. I didn't sand this stuff, okay? This is a primer. This is actually a primer. It goes on bare metal. It actually etches into the metal. It's really good stuff. You can't, when you try and grind this stuff off, it just leaves a residue. That's why I don't like to do it before I weld, because it's on there and it kind of makes my welds kind of crappy. This is Chameleon epoxy primer, this white that I'm using. Adheres really well. And it doesn't say that it will go over this stuff, but look what it does. It goes over it. It's on there so good. I'm not worried about this, you know. I don't think it can be really hard to chip that off. I mean, because it's just on there. It's like a permanent coating on there with the epoxy primer. That's what some of the epoxy primers do. If you guys wondered, they're an adhesion coat for, you know, one like that one's really good at high adhesion. Somebody said, you know, I don't know about putting it over OSFO, but over this stuff, it works really good. Talk to you guys later in the video. Alright, so yeah, this is all epoxy prime. One of the cool things about this stuff is, like, if you're doing something like this, you get this real pitted, gross stuff. You can kind of puddle it into those things and it doesn't run. So it kind of bridges. So it kind of fills and bridges stuff. So you can kind of puddle it and just let it set. I'll let this sit up for a few hours now because I put it on, something like that. So like if it's in these real pits, you know, it's not going to just lay on there. You can kind of push it a little bit and it'll puddle in there and it won't run. So for something like this, it's really good, like an undercarriage or something like that. Really good stuff for that, for if you're trying to seal up everything. So that's epoxy primer. That's what it's really designed for. Is it bridges like if you had little pits and things like that, it'll kind of bridge those things and kind of fill them in. It's not designed as a filler. It's designed to seal, and that's part of the sealing process, is all those little pits and things. It kind of fills those in. So if you got metal like that, it's really rough, and it's really good to use this as a undercoat. You know, this, like I said, we're just doing this, and we're going to paint it right over it because it's open right now, and it's going to take a couple hours for this to dry. I'm going to let this dry for about two or 3 hours right now, and it's kind of cold out. I'll let it dry for 2 or 3 hours, and then just go right over it with this stuff. No sanding, nothing. Just go right over it with paint. It'll stick on there like glue. Yeah, there'll be some dirt in it and stuff. I don't really care about that stuff. We're looking for protection on this. But it's kind of sticky right now. It'll be still kind of sticky when you go to put your primer over. So if you're using this stuff as an undercoat on your car, you just put this down first, and then it's a really good idea just to go right over it. Let it dry for an hour, 2 hours, whatever, till you feel comfortable. You'll touch it. It'll be a little bit sticky, just a little bit. And just a hair, and then go right over it with your surfacer primer or whatever you're going to do. If you're doing an undercarriage, you could just do this and then paint it, and you got it all sealed up, and it'll fill all those little things that you want encapsulated. So like I said, that's why I'm using it on the 54, because of that reason right there. Okay, talk to you guys a little bit later. Alright, so I got all these brazed up and repaired and painted. Wherever there was bad spots, I brazed them. So I'm going to let those set for a while and dry. They're kind of still sticky for a while. And then we've got this center section done. The whole plan is what I'm thinking is, I'll get these lines done that need to go in here, and then I'll get that other side done. Got all this part done here, and then I'll disassemble this, fix those, paint this whole area right here, and then I can reassemble all of these lines here. I can reassemble all those. So I'll take these back, take these off next time, and I'll tell you some stuff I learned here in a minute. But I'm gonna reassemble these next, and then get all that ready. Put all this back together so that, you know, I can kind of stop there for a little while. And then some of the things I found out there are kind of interesting. You guys might, who are into this thing. Here, check this out. So these are solenoids. We were kind of looking at this going, why the heck do they have windings on them? Okay, so there's solenoids here, and these are also buttons so that you could push something and have a button here to push. Okay, all the wiring again is shot, completely gone, just wasted. There's nothing I can do to save any of it. It's just, yeah, really bad. So what happens, these are solenoids down here, and then up above in the basket here, these are just buttons. And I think what happens is when you push one of the buttons, it operates the solenoid. The solenoid sets the points and then opens opens and closes these, and these are bidirectional. So there's one is up and down, so I don't know which one, but I'll figure that out. So let's say you operate one, it goes, the piston may go up, and then to go make it go down, the piston goes down. So the same solenoid does dual action. So one of these is up and down, one's right and left, one's outriggers up and down. So I don't know which order they're in, so I kind of got that figured out. Anybody watching an oval window? Okay, just checking. So this thing here, I don't know if you can see, it's kind of in a bad place. Maybe move it to where you can look at it. This thing here was connected to the outriggers. So there's like a little four-way here, and one of those was connected to outriggers. One connects to all four of them together. So this one has like a brake light switch on it. So I was like, how does that work? Okay, I get it. So what happens is the controls won't work for anything else unless the outriggers are down as a safety mechanism. So what they did is they put like a brake light switch on here, so that when those outriggers hit the ground, right? They hit the ground and it lifts up the car. This is a pressure switch, like a brake light switch, and then it senses pressure on all four outriggers, so it knows that you've got your outriggers down. So power probably goes through this, okay, and to the control for the ones that go this way, and one goes up and down. Now the thing that I can't figure out, and you guys can check out and comment on, I'm not in the right order. I have no idea. There's no plans, nothing on it. So look, one goes outriggers up, outriggers down. I don't know if it's this switch, which order they're in. I don't know. Outriggers up and down, let's just say. And then you've got left and right. They call it clockwise and counterclockwise on all my other lifts. So clockwise and counterclockwise, up and down. What the hell is the next one for? I don't know. That's what I can't figure out. So there's 3 solenoids, dual action, and then there's 2 extra ones here and here. So that's kind of weird. Same thing up here. You got, get you guys up closer. So you've got, let's say, outriggers up and down. But why would they have you allow you to do outriggers up and down from the basket? It's kind of strange. All my other lifts would be making you put your outriggers down before you could even operate up here. What's that switch on the side? Oh, maybe that's engine start on the right. You see that? Let's get you up a little closer. Is that a key? Is that what that is? I can't get up in there. Looks like a key. So that's probably engine start or key on, and then maybe there's a button above it. Engine start, turn off. So it's got some pretty comprehensive controls. So maybe you start the engine from back here, and the hydraulics are always running as long as the valve turns on. That's so weird. I've never seen anything like that. So yeah, you got up, down, left, right, up, down, say left, right, or counterclockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise, up and down, and then it's got 2 extras. Interesting. Anyway, we'll look into that more. I thought you guys might want to, if you guys know anything about it, maybe you could make your comments on it. It'd be helpful. But and I think you might be interested in that too as well. So remember, this one is buttons, and they operate the solenoids that are down below. So those buttons operate these solenoids, make this one connect. I don't know why they did it that way, but it seems extra complicated, very German, totally unnecessary. But then this one goes to, so the circuit goes through here, operates the solenoid. This solenoid has a set of points. The points go and operate the solenoids here. So there's 6 actions of solenoids. There's up and, you know, there's up and down for each item, you know, one direction, the other direction. So that's how it works. But it's so it shouldn't be very hard. I should be able to fix that. Should be able to get the wiring right. But I'm gonna have to replace in the entire wiring harness. There's none of it that can be saved. It's just completely gone. So I'll just have to figure that out. I've had to figure out some other things too. Another thing that's kind of weird is I saw this mount here. I saw this mount right here, right? It's like, what the heck is that? And then there's this pole right here, see? It's all broken up and rusted out and everything else. And I think what it is this goes on there. This mounts on there, and then it's kind of odd because then it has this loop so that it can go, I think we figured 270 degrees. So it's based on the way that these are mounted, because this is a cable that goes around here from, that pulls this, and based on where this one and this one are mounted, it goes like all the way around to like here, and then all the way around to like here. That's what we're thinking. Me and Dale were looking at it. It's kind of weird. And somebody commented there's probably overspray on that. Yeah, there probably is, but it's no big thing because I'm going to buff it again. So I'm not even, I don't care if there's any overspray on it. It'll buff right off as soon as I go to do the last buff on it. So if you're wondering about that, no, I don't really care. I'm just going to let it get on there and polish it again. Probably polish the bucket truck again. And I know I have to do the Westphalia again too. So not a big deal. It's easy to get off. It comes right off with a buffer. So anyway, there's a lot of dust on it right now. But anyway, this was a lot of work just to do this. So I figure now that I've got, once I've got this part done and I can assemble those hard lines there, then all I've got is the center section. So I've got this section and where the basket is. So when I pull the basket off, I can do that section. And then what I want to do is I want to put it down lower, because remember, this is 1,500 pounds. I don't want to be on it, so I'm gonna have to put like scaffolding on it to work on the upper part. So I don't want to have planks and stuff on this thing when it's up too high. So that's why I want it down lower at that point, and then I'll do that. And I'm debating, I may try and get a Parker pump. They have generic ones for like 125 bucks or something like that, and then do a dry run off the vehicle just to test everything. You know, I don't know, it's I'm looking at it this way. Everybody goes, oh my god, you're gonna take the outriggers off after and it's gonna be oil everywhere. You know, oil washes off, it's no big thing. Look, when this thing's on the truck, I can take these off now that I put anti-seize on there, and you know, I can that thing's not rusted on. I can slide those things off in like 15 minutes on the truck, and then this thing's mobile. It's not stuck in my way anymore. So now if for some reason it takes me forever to get these parts, I can pull those things off and have them off for an infinite amount of time, and it's not going to be in my way because I can drive it and move it around. So that's the thing. This thing is always in the way of everything. So I don't like it here, but it's just where it has to be. And then I can move it in places in the shade to work on it, which is better in the summer if I'm working on it then. So that's kind of the idea. It's real easy to get those on and off. Once this thing's mounted on the truck, you can take them off, you know. So, and if they need to be rebuilt at that point, it's not a big deal. Same thing with that one. I can do that later. But I just want to know that everything works first. Kind of figure it all out. Yeah, I'm going to be all over this thing. I'm going to scratch it up, probably trying to fix it and get it all done. That's just part of the deal. And then I'll just touch it all up when I'm done. And it's good to go. Wash it off, power wash it. Easy. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the build on this thing so far. You've seen some really cool stuff. It is a huge mess. I got to get all this stuff up. Yeah, I'm going to sweep it mostly because it probably has lead in it. And of course I have a mask on and everything. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe. And you see your comments, and talk to you later.